bit. Welcome, welcome. Ready live. Achoo. Excuse me. Okay. Share the live. Share the live. Good night, Lourdes. Good night, good night. All right. Welcome to another episode of Motivational Monday, where each one teach one. Our goal is to educate and empower anyone, regardless of race, culture, ethnicity, or faith, struggling with an assortment of life adversities. We believe education enlightens dark paths less traveled and liberates a sense of hopelessness. We believe the safety of transparency illuminates and activates the true meaning of caring, sharing, and reveals an emancipated wholeness. Our group sessions are designed to introduce a mix of information, live topics that surround individuals, our families, our communities, and nation. Your contribution in uplifting and supporting others in their struggle. Philly and myself, would like to welcome you guys. Thank you for supporting us throughout the years. All right? Heavenly Father, thank you for your word that lights our path. Open our hearts and mind to your understanding. Give us a heart of discernment to know your purpose for our lives. I come to you and ask you to fill us with your peace and joy. Let your strength rise up on the inside of us as we seek to know more. Help us to share your love with others. In Jesus' precious name I pray. Amen and amen. Good night, Terrian. Good night, Melvin. Hi guys, Philia is here. Hi.
How are you?
Yes. So, as you know, guys, I lost a brother last week, Wednesday. It was heart failure, diabetes, and cardiac arrest. And my only thing I could say is that take care of your health. Good night, everyone. He was young, 49 years old, and the family is holding up so far. When we go home, it's something else. And I know, thank you for your texts, your calls, your messengers, your emails. I mean, you guys rock. And I want to say that I know I have a village behind me. And I just want to say thank you so much for your love and outpouring support, making sure that I'm okay mentally, physically, and everything. I was feeling drained, but I'm feeling a little better now. And I will be home for the funeral, which will be next week. We just have to finalize some stuff because today in Trinidad is Republic holiday, so we couldn't do anything today. So tomorrow, please God, once we get all the information, I will let you guys know. His name was Keith Worrell, and he has 2 kids, Jemai and Kaylee. He left behind, and he left behind his common-law wife Trisha with her 2 kids, which was like his kids. So I just want to say condolences to my family and thank you again for your outpouring love. And what I can tell you guys is that in death, some people think they're too young to fix the business. Some people think they're too old not to fix the business. But you see, when you have properties and you have things, insurances and different things, leave a will. Leave things where, and we discussed this in one of our topics already, but I can say it hit home for us because when you're not fixing your business, you tend to have, everybody else to figure out what you wanted, what did you say, what was your last words and things like that. So my advice for you viewers that look in tonight, fix your business. Make sure if you want to be cremated, say so. If you want to be buried, say so. If you leave somebody that know what you want, what is your wishes, what you want going, and importantly, leave a will. A will is something that, you know, when you die, anything could go wrong. So when you leave things in writing now, people could just go and say X, Y, and Z. So that was my little two-piece. So I want to say happy birthday to Anthony. Joseph was yesterday. Happy belated birthday. And to Kelly, happy belated birthday, guys. And Trisha, one of the girls, Trisha, my friend, today is her birthday. Happy birthday. And if you're celebrating a birthday, happy birthday. So word of the week.
Okay, the word of the week is quorum. Quorum refers to the smallest number of people who must be present at a meeting in order for the official decisions to be made. Broadly speaking, quorum may refer to any select group. So, you people out there are a quorum.
Okay. All right. So I just have a little 4 steps to develop a healthy mindset, right? Because I think right now, Debbie, happy birthday, Debbie. Didn't know was your birthday today.
Yes.
Or
Birthday, Debbie.
happy birthday. May God bless you to see many more. Once again, if you're logging in, thank you, June, Hearts, Anthony, Shawnette, Debbie. Guys, thank you so much for logging in and giving us your support. So we want to say 4 steps in developing a healthy mindset. Influence our behaviors and emotion every day. Just as you exercise your swing before hitting the ball, it's important to practice things that can lead to a healthy mindset. Our minds are a valuable tool, and maintaining a healthy headspace on and off the golf course can improve confidence and drive. First, they guide kids to develop strong social and emotional wellness skills through active learning experiences. These lessons can be used by youths and adults to develop and maintain healthy mindset at home, schools, and in the community. Here are 4 steps to developing a healthy mindset. 1.
Have a positive attitude. By focusing on gratitude and practicing positive self-talk, you might be surprised by how much better it makes you feel. Every day, look for new ways to nurture your positive attitude through eating healthy, staying active, and being honest.
Number 2, give your best effort. Parents and mentors can encourage kids to give their best effort as often as possible. And keeping yourself accountable is the easiest way to lead by example. Giving your best efforts allow you to realize what you are truly capable of and becoming more confident in your skills.
Yes. Number 3, give back. Giving back to your community or causes that you care about is another great way to maintain a healthy mentality. Volunteering can help your family connect with others who hold similar values and beliefs. Even activities as simple as tutoring someone on the weekend or just pulling a neighbor's weeds can have a tremendous effect on the community you live in.
Number 4, take ownership. A lot of us don't like to take ownership. And I think a lot of people is being denied, right? Helping kids realize they have control over the outcome of the challenges they face can help build confidence and reduce anxiety. Reducing anxiety and practicing problem-solving capabilities at a young age can have a huge effect on how their mindset develops through the rest of their lives. First, they guide kids to strengthen what's inside them and to put it into action. It's priority for us to guide kids to care for their social and emotional wellness, so when they set up to the next shot, maths test or presentation, they have the strength to move forward, aim further, and finish stronger than the last time. All right? So that was my for health tip for developing a healthy mindset. Because let me tell you, I needed that advice today, because when you have a death in the family, it's difficult, especially when you are siblings and you know you're losing a sibling. It is always not easy, you know, and then you have to get yourself in a mindset, because sometimes you're in panic mood, you're in depression mood, you don't know what to do, what's the next goal, what, you know, what, it's like draft, you have to play the drafts. And I want to say thank you to my big brother Bruiser, and I want to say a big thank you to my niece Maserite. We call her Sarah. She has been doing a fantastic job for Jess. I think she's only 22 or 23, and she's there with my brother running up and down, making sure that it's a process. You know, when you die, people don't think it's a process. He died at his home, so you know they had to go down there, and then you know the DMO had to come that to pronounce him dead, and then you had the police had to go. Then you have to have your IDs. It's a whole process. Then they took the body away. And then, you know, you have to go down now to identify the body, to get the death certificate. I mean, it's a lot. And, you know, I know she was very emotional when she had to go and identify the body, because she said when she saw it, she could have seen his foot. So,
she knows him.
Yeah, she knows it was him, you know. So, you know, I just want to say thank you to my family for, you know, always supporting us and giving us things. Plucky, I'm alive right now. Oh. Okay, I'll call you just now. Yeah, so, sorry guys, that was my brother. I've been having phone calls non-stop, you know. So, you know, just a little FYI, it's a process.
Yes.
All right?
100%.
So, I want to say too, condolences going out to my friend Nicole. Her father passed away yesterday. Please accept Nicole Babula, my girlfriend, from Trinidad. Her father passed away yesterday, and I want to say, please accept our condolences from the Worrell family and for all who know you. All right? I'll talk to you tomorrow, because sometimes you can't talk the day off, right? All right. So we want to talk a bit about this topic. I saw it and I found it very interesting.
It is.
And it's what you should know about purity culture. Now, purity culture is something new now. It's one of the latest ones that come out. So I think it would have been a good discussion to hear what our viewers think and to get their reaction. So you want to read a little bit what is purity culture, because a lot of people don't know what it is.
So purity culture. Purity culture is the term often used for the evangelical movement that attempts to promote a biblical view of purity by discouraging dating and promoting virginity before marriage, often through the use of tools such as purity pledges, symbols such as purity rings, and events such as purity balls. So what are purity pledges, purity rings, and purity balls? Purity pledges are vows taken by teenagers and young adults to abstain from sex before marriage. A prime example is the original pledge from True Love Waits, which reads, "Believing that true love waits, I make a commitment to God, to myself, to my family, those I date, and my future mate to be sexually pure until the day I enter marriage." So with the purity rings are sometimes worn as outward symbols by those who have made a purity pledge. The rings were popularized by the Christian ministry, the Silver Ring Thing, which promoted abstinence primarily through music events. A decade ago, the rings were worn by several young actors and pop stars, including Miley Cyrus, Demi Lovato, Selena Gomez, and the Jonas Brothers. Purity balls, or father-daughter purity balls, are a formal dance events that are attended by fathers and their daughters that promote virginity until marriage for teenage girls. So at these balls, the fathers would often sign a pledge that they would be the example of purity and model integrity for their daughters. The dances were originally conceived in 1998 by a California couple, Randy and Lisa Wilson, as a way of celebrating God's design life as little growth spurts.
Right.
So we can get on this. There's so much more.
Yeah.
But it's interesting about this, right?
But before you start, June would like to say she like our fall colors and the blend
Thank you, June.
we're wearing tonight. So thank you, June.
Thank you.
We didn't
Thank
plan
you so
it.
much. No, we did not.
We just coordinate so good.
We tend to all the time.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, beautiful.
Yes.
Okay, so let me explain this, right? I can actually attest to this kind of purity thing because I grew up in a culture where all the women in my family were virgins when they met their husbands.
Okay.
Now, in the Muslim religion, and people tend to mix culture and religion a lot.
Right.
So in my culture, first of all, like 80% of the people in my country are Muslims.
Right.
So what they do is that a man will not propose to you. Usually it's older men who are at least 10 years older than you. That's the first thing.
Right.
So that's the first thing, is that a man can be maybe 10 to 15 years older than you. He may see you playing in the yard. He will approach your parents and say, "This young girl, save her for me. I want her to be my wife." Now, growing up, it's interesting because as parents, you're not always necessarily thinking about education to educate your daughter specifically.
Right.
It's about marrying her off, because when you marry her off, you're securing a future for her a little bit, ensuring that she will have a home, she will probably have children, she will be well taken care of, and she no longer is a burden to you as parents, because having daughters is considered burdensome.
Wow.
While having sons go out and take care of their own families.
Right.
So in this, it's also promoting the virginity.
Right.
Because these young girls now, there's a process that they go to the bush. They call it the bush. They learn how to cook. They learn how to clean.
Right.
This is a more serious thing that used to be done, but before they used to call it FGM, which is really female circumcision. Which is a crazy thing, because just like males get circumcised, they also circumcise females, and it's crazy. But what they do is just take off the outer skin of the removing the clitoris. And now the reason why they do that is because if a woman does not have the sensation of sexual pleasure, she's not going to want to go out and have sex.
Right.
So this is a way of, they try to make it religious, but it's not. It's culture, right?
Yes.
And it's culture that oppresses women, but it's worked. Now, the women in my family, my mom, my grandmother, my sister even, who passed away in 2006, had all gotten this process done.
Really?
Now, the reason why I didn't get this process done is because I was born here. By the time they actually were going to do this, I was still a virgin until 19 years old. And I'll explain this purity thing in a minute.
Right.
I was in high school, 17 years old, probably 11th grade maybe, going on 12th grade. There were already plans to let me go to Sierra Leone to go get this process done, because there was already a man who was about 15 years my senior who decided that he was going to pick me like a layaway plan. That's what I call it. Put me on layaway to be his wife.
Right.
So my grandmother, usually it's a elder woman in the family, a grandmother, great grandmother, that tends to run the whole process. Right. So my grandmother died that year, so everything derailed. And by the time I went, she was already dead. The family didn't feel the need and necessary thing for me to have done culturally. Yeah. But I was going to be one of these women. Now, prior to this, I didn't do a purity ring or purity ball, but what my mom used to do, and this is what her mom did to her and her mom did to her, she actually used to check me like a gynecologist. Right. Like she actually knew what she was looking for. Right. But I believe she knew what she was looking for. And it would be once a month, she would check my private parts to see if I was fondled. This is crazy, because this is technically child abuse. I guess now that I'm 50, I'm like, I can't believe this woman used to do this stuff. Right. And I would sit there, grown 17-year-old girl, after I take my shower, lay on the bed, and she's there inspecting and doing all these things and say, "Hey, are you sure nobody touched you? Why is this red? You sure? I can tell if a man touch you." And it's like, Jesus, woman, nobody touched me. Like, I'm not, So this is crazy. So after she stopped when I turned 18, but I was afraid she was going to do some little trick. So that's why I end up having sex at 19, because I was like, I don't trust this woman. She's going to try checking me. And then I waited till I was 19 and I saw that the full year had gone by and she had not checked me. So this is stuff that was going on years ago. But they're now making it more like something that can be more of a cultural phenomenon. And people are now starting to do it as a way like, hey, I'm still a virgin. I'm going to wait for marriage. And I think it's just a beautiful thing to start to promote again for young children. But that's my crazy testimony.
It says here, how did purity culture movement start?
So now we're going to talk about it.
Yes.
So the purity culture movement began in the 1990s. You see, 1990s when I went to Sierra Leone to do this.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. Okay, this is bringing me back like my childhood trauma.
Yeah.
But as Christians who were children or teens during the beginning of the 1960s era, sexual revelation or revolution began to have children and teenagers of their own.
Right.
By the early years of the 1990s, AIDS had become the #1 cause of death for United States men ages 25 to 44, and the teen pregnancy rate had reached an all-time high. Now, the number of premarital sex partners had also increased substantially since 1970s. So, for example, in the 1970s, only 2% of American women had more than 10 sexual partners before marriage. Now, in the 1990s, that percentage had increased to 10%. In 2010, it was 18%. So, at the time, many evangelicals were reacting to the negative effects of sex outside of marriage and attempted to once again ground sexuality in biblical ethics. So, in 1992, Richard Ross, a youth ministry, which is when I lost my virginity, a youth ministry consultant at Lifeway Christian Resources, presented the theme of true love waits in a brainstorming session for a potential Christian sex education campaign. So, this is a lot. Now, a year later, Southern Baptists adopted the program with the goal of 100,000 signed commitment cards, which are also purity pledges, by the time of their next annual convention. So in 1994, True Love Waits held a rally in Washington, D.C. with 25,000 youth and displayed 210,000 commitment cards on the National Mall between the Capitol and the Washington Monument. So there's so much more, but I want us to just focus on how this can be effective. And what are your thoughts? Because we did a lot of, I did a lot of talking, and we did. So
we want to know what is your thoughts on purity culture, because it's resurfacing, and I think a lot of people is not aware, especially with the name, and people really not aware. So we want to bring awareness. So what do you guys think about the young people? What do you think about the young people nowadays? Should we get back to basic?
What do you want to know? I know there were a couple of people who were writing. Any comments that they made in regard to this?
No, they just said, good night, Juanita.
Okay.
Susan, good night, Debbie. Dan, Jason, June.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to hear your thoughts on it, because again, this, when I saw the term and I had to go and look it up, I said, oh, this should be a good topic for us, because purity and culture, the term has become increasingly prevalent in discussion about faith, relationship, and personal values. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you have different values. Sometimes, as you say, culture. Sometimes you say religion. I would say right now I'm not a religious person, but I'm very spiritual. Because religion, I know, cannot save any of us. Right. So I think I have become more spiritually inclined with my maker. You know what I'm saying? Because religion destroy people. And I think religion have a way of just, ridiculing others. If you believe, if you're a Catholic and I'm an Anglican, or you're a Christian, I'm a Presbyterian. So, the cultures now tend to affect others, and especially like how you grow have a lot to do with the way how you go through your life journey.
I agree. I agree. Now, what they actually mention is that the effective in reducing this premarital sex. So I think personally, the fact that there's a pledge, there's some type of accountability when someone is actually pledging, because
Right.
even if
Become like a promissory
yeah,
note.
like a promissory note. So
note.
even if you break it, you're still in the back of your mind saying, damn,
I made a promise.
did make a promise to God, or I made a promise to my parents, or I made a promise to whomever, and now I'm breaking it. There's some kind of moral compass that actually drives you, as opposed to not having any kind of promise. Also, this idea of a promissory ring. It's like every time you look at that ring, you're like,
you're committed.
I'm committed to it.
Loyalty.
Or a ball, like my dad took me to this ball, and now I'm here with this boy.
Yes.
You know, on a roof or whatever it is.
And I think too, young people need to get back, because I think we stray away from this everyday living now.
Correct. Ethics.
And the children don't have values. Good night, Adiola.
Correct.
So the children don't have that moral and values they're growing up with, like how we did.
Right.
And so tell us your thought. What you think about it? Should you go ahead with this purity culture? Right. We want to hear from you guys.
Now, what do you feel about this purity culture?
Well, I think,
you have a son, so would it go just for girls, or it should go for guys too?
I think it should go for both, especially the days that we're living in now.
Okay.
And I mean, there are still sicknesses, deadly sicknesses and diseases that people have to live with. AIDS and went anyway.
Right.
Herpes and went anyway. All these gonorrhea, syphilis, different things. And I think if children get a better education of sex education, plus holding themselves until they find the right person, give them a more sense of belonging, something to look forward to,
Right.
And even if you have to lose your virginity, it's somebody that means something to you. Not just have sex because of having sex, peer pressure, and different things like that.
Right.
So I think it should go for boys and girls.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. And I think also culturally, the thing is with boys, people expect boys to be boys.
Yeah.
Be sexually active early. They, get a pat on their shoulders, high five, like, yeah, you got that. While with women, it has more of a negative connotation, like, how many bodies have you had before the age of so-and-so? You've already had this and so-and-so man. You've already done this. So I think you're right. It should go for both. I think both should be held accountable for their actions. And I think also, I believe truly in soul ties.
Yeah.
Whenever you're giving yourself to someone, especially sexually, I really truly believe that souls get transformed.
Right.
That's why you take on other people's negative spirits, because you don't know all those people that those people have been with.
Right.
And you wonder why you're wrestling with internal conflict.
Right.
Sometimes that has to do with the fact that you've connected now with another soul, another body. So it's also important to preserve you, because if you are trying your best to be as righteous as possible, live well and pray and eat well, and now you're bringing another person who maybe doesn't have the same, is not on the same page as you, you're now bringing that person to interfere and interrupt that process. So if you just respect yourself on that level,
and I like the word you use, the respect.
Yeah, if you respect yourself even on that level, I think you would make better decisions on who you allow
choices
to in your body. In a sense.
Afisha, Anthony is saying that's old time advice. With a new name. Okay, so good. Yes. They're saying here, purity extend beyond sexual conduct.
Right.
All right, encompassing a lifestyle choice that align with moral and ethical standards. It's taught and interpreted different across various Christian communities. Purity culture impact a controversy. While aiming to uphold biblical values, purity culture has faced criticism from politely leading to guilt, shame, and anxiety. Its symbols like purity, rings, and movements like true love waits have both supported and challenged young adults seeking to develop God-honoring habits. The complexity of navigating purity culture in teens, open communication, empathy, and understanding are vital in guiding teens through conversation relating to the purity culture movement. As parents, we must balance sharing our belief and respecting our teens' autonomy and individuality as to guide them as young adults towards Christ. And I mean, again, I think a lot of parents are too busy. They lose track of a lot of stuff. But what we're saying here, we want to hear your feedback. What do you think about this purity culture?
Right.
I know Anthony's saying here that it's old advice in a new name.
Yes.
And yes, it is.
It is. I mean, and that's why I said that this stuff has already been around back in the day, but it's interesting that this is the same year that this study started to happen, and my parents were already doing this. So in 1990, when I, was still in high school, I graduated high school in 1991, and here this was happening. I would have been part of this whole culture without even knowing that I was part of the culture.
Yeah.
This even I think I mentioned before, these waist beads that you see now selling on Amazon all over the street,
and everybody use it for
everybody
style.
use it
I didn't
for
even
style.
know the meaning when you told me.
These waist beads I've had since I was an infant. Like in African cultures, they put these waist beads on babies from young. One, they use it for shaping the baby, shaping the it also shows measurement, because if they make them accordingly, as your baby's growing, your baby's physically actually growing. Then,
but how do you take them off though?
Some of them are usually made with elastic band, but some are not. The ones that are not, they just add the beads. Then between teenage years to adolescent years, it's used to distinguish virginity. So women who are virgins have like certain color ranges, and women who are married, it's for attraction for your husband. So those beads were adornments for different reasons.
Right.
Now, over the years, people have just seen them and they wear it for style. So my 8-year-old has them. She's had them since she was little. She has the waist beads, she has the foot beads, she has the hand beads. They all match, they all go together. I have several, maybe 10, maybe I have one. So this is something I've grown up with. So I've been doing this for years. I mean, we're talking about maybe 45, 47 years I've been wearing waist beads. So it's not new for me. It's not new for my kids. My kids understand it. And anybody in these cultures that they used to use it for, they still align with it, but now they've just become more fashionable to wear. Right.
Yes. So what are your thoughts, guys, about purity and culture? Let us hear what you think. We heard from Anthony.
Right.
But now you have women who are working in corporate America with good money, want a child, right?
Right.
And they're not waiting for marriage anymore. Just baby daddies.
Okay. So I can comment on that. What happens in this case now is that you're right. A woman, a lot, right? A lot. What happens is that, again, you think about parents, like when they're raising their daughters, you raise them to be educated, hopefully be able to go off and
just be independent,
have fun, be independent, eventually marry, eventually have children so you can give your parents grandkids.
Right.
And maybe that doesn't happen. That's not in the cards for that woman.
Right.
Now, the woman now does not want to feel like marriage is the only reason why she can have children.
Right.
I make my own money. I'm living my best life. I have my home. I have my vehicle. I have everything I need except for a partner. Then why should I now deprive myself of a child because I don't have a partner who I can get along with, or a partner who is willing to marry me, or whatever the case might be? So that's why now they have sperm banks. So they have things that you don't need a partner.
In vitro.
In vitro.
You don't even need
You don't need a partner to have a baby.
Yeah.
So they've made it accessible so that people don't have to feel alienated or marginalized.
People who have money.
Right. Or feel marginalized in society. So I think in making that accessible, it's increased the women or men, because men do it too and find surrogates to give them children. Yes. Correct, and still raise their children. It's giving people options that they don't have to look to marriage only to procreate.
Right.
And there's a good to that, and a bad. There's no bad to it. There's a good to it all the time, because whatever the case might be, first of all, there are more women than men in the world for a reason. So I don't think everyone is supposed to be married, obviously, because if that's the case, then men will have to have multiple wives because there are more women,
Right.
just statistically, than men, period. So because of that, I think that that option gives people a chance not to feel alienated from society and can still live
And
their
then,
best life.
with corporate Americas, he was saying is that, women were taught to go to school, get your education, do your associates, your bachelor's, your master's, your doctorate. So when these women establish and get all these stuff, sometimes a kid is missing.
Right.
Now they make it so easy for them with adoption. Right? In
Right.
vitro,
In
you
vitro.
don't need,
Right. Surrogate.
yeah, and different things like that.
Yeah.
Look at all these. I mean, I don't really like to look at them and use them as example, but
Kardashians.
no, TV.
Oh, just TV in
television,
general. Yeah,
and or stars, movie stars are more doing it, and especially ageable mothers.
Correct. Right.
Ageable
Having
mothers. Look
babies.
like John Legend wife, Christy
Right.
Teigen. She had a miscarriage. She have biological children, but
Correct.
she had a miscarriage, and then she got a surrogate to
Right.
carry the baby,
The
but
last
with
one,
their
right.
sperm.
Right.
And a lot of parents are doing it. Angela Jolie was one of the first ones come out and have all these different kids. She
Right.
went and adopted
Right.
from Africa,
Right.
India, and
Yes,
wherever
yes,
else.
yes.
You know what I mean?
Cambodia, Vietnam.
Vietnam, all over. So she have
Correct.
a whole Grady bunch with different
Correct.
denominations.
Exactly. Yes, I agree.
So I mean, different culture brings different things, and
Right.
especially working women now. And they hardly have brothers around. Most of
Yeah.
them going on the other side.
Yeah.
They have a shortage.
Yes. Period.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, even scientifically, I mean, there's just not enough men to go around. Period. So women got to figure it out, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's different to know that your grandparent, you grew up with your grandparent, grandma,
right.
aunts, uncles, different thing. You don't want to break that generational
Correct,
kind of way.
Right.
But for some people, they're not as lucky as some.
Yeah.
But I came to the realization that not everybody could be a mother. There are people who are in this world who are not birth mothers, but are mothers to other people.
Other children. That's correct.
And they
Right.
do a pretty good job at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason. And God doesn't make any mistakes. So,
No.
you accept your course, your journey, and you make the best of it.
Yeah. Okay, purity culture encompasses the way society and popular culture reinforce the idea of sexual purity as a measure of a person's worth. It started as a largely Christian religion phenomenon, but it has grown beyond that, especially in the US, and as far-ranging mental health impact on those it affects. In this context here, they're just telling you about the, what you could do to become better. I mean, I guess you have to be more faith-based. And again, we have so many broken marriages now.
Right.
So, coming on is like your kids watching you grow with mommy and daddy. And then all of a sudden, 20, 30 years, because that's what I'm seeing, all of a sudden they divorce.
Right.
And they leave those children broken-hearted and empty.
Right.
Because here they're growing up all their life having your mom and your dad. You're living, you're seeing that. Those are the things that the child growing from inception. And then when they grow older now, and they see that division or separation with divorce, they tend not to commit.
Right.
They tend not to commit.
Right.
And, I just think that when you know better, you do better.
Right.
And you have to walk the walk and talk it too.
Right.
Right? And we have to just, especially grandparents, I think, play a very important part in a child's life. Why? Because the mothers and fathers of today don't have the time that a grandparent will have.
Right.
And they now will teach them the culture. Okay, let's make roti from Trinidad. We cooking pilau. Okay, we eating this. You introduce them. Because if you don't introduce the culture to the children, they wouldn't grow up knowing it. Especially living in America and back from the island. And then they start to lose it.
Right.
Now, there is some who bring the kids up to know the culture and everything. But then there's some parents now who's so busy with life. The children nowadays don't have the values.
Correct.
The values.
They start losing what that is. And I think it's important. So that's why I think culture, like, Anthony mentioned it, it's like old time making it new. But you know what? If it's not broken, you don't need to fix it. And sometimes it's okay to incorporate some of the old things, because we're starting to lose sight of it, of our culture. And I think then it makes it lends for sometimes chaos a little bit, because we see that the way our parents raised us, or maybe the way their parents raised them, maybe it won't be so much of an iron fist,
right?
But I still think that the guidelines are still good, and I think because of that, it's just really important to maintain that, because it intensifies or it promotes self-respect, integrity. I think culture, so many things.
Adiola is bringing up a good point here. She said, look at the world has evolved. Times change.
Right.
There are hardly structural homes. That's a great point.
Great point. Absolutely. And with, not having structural homes, like I mentioned, chaos, disarray, anarchy, so much is going on in the household because there's no real structure, seeing little kids outside at night, no real bedtime, kids who can choose partying, smoking with their parents, cursing with the parents, cursing in front of the parents. There's so much I see, or even, like I said, not choosing not to go to school and the parents not do anything about it. Like junior high school kids, and like, oh, I don't go to school. What do you mean? You're in 6th grade. What do you mean you don't go to school? And how can you get away with something like that with a parent in the house? But it's like, oh, I can't force him. I gotta work. I gotta do what I gotta do. He just doesn't go. I'm like, that's child abuse. Like, you have to go. And even the kids knowing the system. Like, if they're absent for more than a certain amount of days, they know that they must go to school, because if not, ACS comes to their house. So the kids are getting smarter and smarter and outsmarting the people who are smart. So culture is important, no matter what. And you can do away with certain things if you feel like, if your parents were too strict, or maybe you didn't like the lashing and the beating and this and that. But I think maintaining some parts of the culture is still important.
Yeah. And I like this. Women are often taught their sexuality is something that should be bottled up and shoved down. That encompasses everything from the way they dress, the way they interact with men, the way they speak, the way they view their own bodies and their own sex drive. And I think nowadays, young girls lose that.
Right.
They have to show skin. They have to show everything else.
Right.
And they just think, well, they have to market the body.
Right.
And I don't think that is attractive for men who want to put you in a home, because nobody wants a woman who is showing all her butt cheeks.
Yeah. And
who is showing all her breasts, whether one high, low, big, small.
Right.
At least, and especially mothers. I'm talking basically mothers, modern day mothers who want to run competition with the teenage daughters. I mean, women have to have some kind of respect. If you don't respect yourself, your children don't respect you.
Correct.
You understand? And I think it starts again, as we say, from the home. And I think, with this purity culture, it's just back to basic what we have learned. Women adore themselves, women must be seen and not be heard. You don't have to be loud, you don't have to be cursing, you don't have to be extravagant.
Self-respect.
Self-respect.
Is key.
Preserve, your body is a temple.
Yes.
You understand? To get back to that. And I think that, with the name, for people will think it's new, but as Anthony say, it's been around
time things.
Old. Bringing back the old time day.
Old things, new name, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So that was good. You want to talk about the toxicity from the purity culture?
All right. So what is the toxicity of purity culture? So there are serious mental health implications for people impacted by purity culture, including but not limited to religious trauma syndrome, feeling ashamed of your body, sexuality or gender identity, feeling controlled or pressured to have behave in rigid ways with limiting rules, and warping of one's worldview that can reduce autonomy and increase shame and stress. Mayberry says that these sorts of issues stem from perpetuating cycles of shame that exist within purity culture. So they are taught in a way that allows them to not explore their sexuality, to shame themselves when they have thoughts of feelings that are completely natural,
Right.
but they believe in the inherently sinful because of what they have been taught. Mayberry says it can negatively impact relationships and it can negatively impact their own understanding of themselves and their bodies. So Wertheimer says that the underlying fear that can grow alongside both the concepts of purity and modesty are not unique to one ideology, but can still be the root cause of this type of harm. She sees this manifest in social taboo around topics of sex. So, for example, when we think about the natural process of masturbation, for instance, right?
Yeah.
It's natural that kids explore their bodies. They see something dangling, they touch what's dangling.
Yes.
They see something poking,
Like a little child.
They touch what's
see your
poking.
breath.
Yeah,
Yes.
they want to touch, they want to
Yes.
feel, they want to know why this thing moves, why
Yeah.
mommy's doesn't look like daddy's,
Yeah,
whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
That's natural. Doesn't
Right.
mean that they
Yeah.
be molested
Promiscuous
or promiscuous.
Yeah.
But because that these purity cultures sometimes go through the extremes of saying you can't touch yourself, you can't this, and it's sin, now it causes the mental health issues.
Right.
So there is a fine line between, if you are going to be a person who's going to promote this, you also have to be realistic and you have to teach your kids still scientifically the things that happen. It's not your fault that you men get erections. It's natural. It's not because you were doing anything wrong that you get something, or
we have to make them
educate them so they don't feel bad about certain things.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because they wouldn't open up to you, and they will keep stuff
from you, which causes them to now start to hide.
Yes.
Correct. Right.
Yes. And I noticed too, like when a child is a virgin and they start to have sex, all of a sudden they're hiding, they want to change in front of you.
Right.
Because that innocence was taken away.
It's like Eve, right?
Yes.
In the Garden of Eden, right? Then they were naked, they didn't know. The minute they sinned, it's like they start taking the bushes to cover up.
Yeah.
Same exact thing. So you always know. A parent always know. They watch, they see. And it's like, Mom, Mom, what are you doing? It's like, I've been coming in here all the time. You've been fine. All of a sudden, you're not hiding. Yeah, what are you hiding? But those are really signs, it's complete signs, because that's the shame that they carry with them. Right.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Right.
Yes. All right. What is True Love Waits Movement? The True Love Waits Movement is a campaign that encourages young people to make a commitment to sexual abstinence until marriage. It began in the early 1990s and became a significant part of the purity culture movement. The campaign includes pledges, events, and educational resources. So again, this is going back to basic, just letting the kids know, hey, life is not running away. You got to talk to them and let them know, be a child, enjoy soccer, enjoy going to the park, enjoy things. Children nowadays, they don't read anymore if you don't instill it in them. Like my friend Philip, when I saw his children, the first thing they do was take out a book and read. I don't see that. I was like, what, Philip?
No, not at all.
He said, yeah, that's what the kids know, to read books. Now these children know they want a book. Everything TikTok. Nothing educational. TikTok, Instagram, and the gram, and the phone, and you understand? Nothing.
Absolutely.
You ask them a conversation, they cannot even have a conversation.
I told you I was taking my senior students on a trip, and I know there were definitely kids who were couples. And they're not sitting next to each other, but not talking, but they're both on the phone. So I'm like, hey, why are you guys not talking? We are talking, miss. I'm like, on what? We texting each other. I'm like, what is going on? Like, you sitting next to each other, have a conversation, but it's so, like, foreign because they're so used to this social media. They're chatting
because they get so caught up,
right?
You know, even with relationships too. Some relationships they don't talk to one another.
They break up on text. They make up on text, and it's like no one talks to each other.
Nobody have a conversation.
It's so sad, so amazing that the world is so different from where. So they're awkward. They're socially awkward kids. Like they go to parties with their parents and they will not have a conversation. They in the corner. They're on the phone. You talk to them. One word responses. Like what's wrong? Like,
and that's why too. Sometimes I like to see daddy-daughter relationships, and I like to see mother-son relationship. Because I think, you know, they teach them the value, the bond, you know. Like one of my friends was saying, they were dropping the kid over and they was like, don't drop me in front of school. You know, because
don't kiss me in front.
Don't kiss me in front. You know, because they don't want the peers to see that, you know, maybe
that kind of affection. Yeah.
You know, but I think you have to teach them affection. Because if you don't teach it to them, they grow up and they don't have it.
And they don't have it.
They don't have it. They don't have it when they grow as adults too. They're very cold.
It's funny because, you know, even that you've heard me explain sometimes in the way Noah, my son, treats, you know, Nava. Because I'm like, no, you don't talk to her like that. Because she's going to think it's normal. And she will now not be able to decipher what's good behavior or bad behavior from a man. I said, because she's learning from you. You're her brother. She looks up to you. You know, so it's important to set those kind of boundaries so that the kids learn it and they also learn from you. You have to lead by example. You can't always say, oh, do as I say, not as I do. Because kids, they absorb, they see everything. They're like sponges.
They are sponges.
So we really have to set the example for them.
And I think as parents, or anybody, guardian, anybody, you have to walk the walk and talk the talk. You understand? And you know, it's like me growing up. I went to vacation Bible school. I know summertime you go in, you're learning, you know, songs and everything. The children of today don't even know what is VBS. If you tell them what is VBS, what VBS, you know, what's VBS, you know, and that's why different cultures now send the children to camp. They go to camp and they learn different stuff, kayaking, this, that, the other, swimming, different things, you know. The mind is more wider. And again, this is purity culture, teaching your children, letting them know, hey, you know, there is more than life.
Correct. And also keeping them active, because I realize also, and this is just statistically, kids who are in sports tend to be a little less sexually active than the kids who are not. Because when kids are idle, then they're bored, and when they're bored, they start finding things
and then peer pressure.
But if you are, you know, an athlete, you're running track, you're playing soccer, you're doing basketball, you're football, where you have time to be messing around with somebody, you're so exhausted that you still have to get your homework done because you have to maintain a certain average to still stay on the team. I'm not saying that they don't find the time. No. I'm just saying that it's harder than a kid.
They're slower to that type of thing. Correct. Because their goal is different.
Yeah, the goal is just different. They want to go to college. They want to get a scholarship. They don't want to get pregnant. They don't want to get someone pregnant. They want to buy a car. They want to get the license. They have things that they want to do. Things that they want. So I find that, you know, those are the ones who honestly are a little less sexually active or not sexually active at all until maybe either they reach closer to their senior year or at least their junior year. And some go way beyond, you know. So, and then the ones who were not athletes were the ones who were constantly, things were going on with them, you know, because they were idle. As I said, idolatry causes mischief and sin throughout.
But you know what I just can't understand about the parents? They want to dress up in every latest item and can't pay for your daughter or son to go to swim class.
That's
or
true.
Go to soccer.
You set a bad example. I agree with you.
Or do things for the kids. You know, you have time to go with your friends. You have time to doll up
and go on vacation, and then your kids
do you know, operations on your body to put all kind of things in your body to look good and still you're single, which I can't understand. But the poor kids now,
all those things, I better have like a slew of people like to choose from.
But half of them not living anyway though. They're dumb. You understand? And the poor kids now, they're not benefiting anything.
No, not at all.
You understand what I'm saying? So what are you really teaching them? Where do you really want them to go? And then when they drop out of school, because half of those children don't finish high school. they don't finish, Philia, you know.
Yeah, I do know. Yeah.
You understand?
100%.
As you say, half of them never even, they live in Jersey, they never
And
even
they
come
never
to Brooklyn.
even, right.
They
They've
never
never
cross
been
the bridge.
out of the state. That's correct.
You know, so
wow.
we have to break certain
those cycles. Absolutely.
cycles. And, you know, I mean, purity and culture, I know, as Anthony said, is just what we grew up doing
Right.
in the Caribbean.
That's all we did.
Or what the cultures that we learned
Right.
that they're trying to bring back out, but they just fancy up,
the name.
purity culture. So I
Right.
just think that was a good discussion
Yeah.
for our topic tonight.
Yeah. And those that have kids or grandkids, I think this is something to think about because, you know, it's okay to bring it back. It's not a horrible thing. You know, why not preserve yourself? You know, why not save yourself for, you know, and then, you know, experience life, because that's another thing. It's like, if you don't even know what you want, then how do you expect someone to give it to you? It's like, save yourself, figure out what you like, what you don't like, figure out, you know, enjoy yourself, you know, go to school, hang out with friends. You don't have to feel like you must have sex to enjoy yourself, you know, because you have so many years to be able
pressure
to do
is
that.
a big one.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah. It's hard. And you have a lot of years. Like I tell my daughters, I was like, you have so many years, you're going to be tired of it. You're going to be telling your man, I got a headache. I was like, so don't rush. Take your time. You don't need to rush it. It's okay to say no. It really is okay.
It's okay. And don't pressure them. And you know, some parents pressure you. Oh, you don't have any children. You're done 40, you're 35. I want a grandchild. I want to, and then they go and they have these kids with wrong people.
Correct.
You know, and it's crazy. And then you end up with a statistic. You end up being single parent. You end up being with a horrible baby daddy.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, the cycle just go on and on. So parents, stay in your lane and let the kids know to take the time. You have your young daughters, you have your young sons growing up. Let proper
them be
example.
Let them do their thing.
Let them be kids. Let them be there. You know, they want to play with the dolly. I see nothing wrong with that. You understand? So let them take the time to grow. Yeah. You know, and teach them the value, because I think young parents now, that is what they lack. They're not teaching the children to preserve themselves.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely. I think this is a great topic.
And the bottom line is understanding and navigating purity culture can be complex and personal journey. As parents, our love, empathy, and open communication are vital in guiding our teens through the significant aspects of life. The conversation you have about purity and related topics can shape their understanding of relationship, self-worth, and faith. It's an opportunity to share your values and belief while you also listening to their thoughts and their feelings. Embrace the opportunity to explore these topics together. Fostering a relationship built on trust and mutual respect. Engaging in open and honest dialogue allow you to connect with your teens on a deeper level, providing support and encouragement as they navigate the challenges and questions related to purity culture. Remember, your approach and attitude can make a significant difference in how these subjects are perceived and internalized.
Look at that.
All right.
That is the bottom line. I think this definitely sums up the importance of this culture or phenomenon. Basically, it's about connecting or reconnecting with your kid, letting them know that self-worth and self-respect, it trumps all this other stuff that is going on. It's okay to say no. If you have done it, it's still okay to preserve yourself because you can still abstain.
Sometimes you make mistakes.
Yeah, you make mistakes. Yeah, it's okay. You just abstain and you start all over. I mean, all is forgiven. And as long as you have life and your facets and health, then you have chances and choices. And it's okay to press the restart button.
It's okay to fall down and get back up and
like,
start
brush
again.
yourself off.
But, you know, we want you guys to, you know, try to bring back basic to the kids.
Yeah.
Because I think the kids are lost.
They're lost.
And I think that they feel worthless. And that's how the anxiety and the depression and, you know, peer pressure and different things come upon them.
Yeah, they don't feel a place.
Yeah.
You
and
know.
then we have to watch too how we speak to them.
Correct.
You know, because I think sometimes I myself had to check myself with my son. I had to learn his language in the sense it's not like if I'm coming down to his level, I'm his mom, but I had to bring it down a notch and stop being, you know, I mean, I'm mother and father, but yet you had to come down a notch a little. I'm not saying to give up, but I'm just saying find a different approach. If something not working, and learn to listen.
Yeah.
Listening is fundamental. Even
so much.
old people are the same. Listening is very fundamental, which some people don't like to do.
Correct.
And if you listen, you could learn a lot.
And you hear the things that you probably missed if you just learn to listen and not have your own objective. Just allow yourself to just take in what the kid is saying, you know. Yeah. It would always be helpful. Yeah.
Well, Anthony's saying he was looking for much more input from the ladies tonight. Yeah. But I guess the ladies tonight just listening and just taking in, probably it's hitting hard, you know, or it resonates some way that, you know.
Maybe they'll have time to self-reflect.
Self-reflect.
That's fine. And maybe we can, like, review it surely, you know, maybe on our next Motivational Monday, we could just ask if any ladies had some self-reflected thoughts, and then move on to the next topic. That's fine. I think it's really good to discuss.
Yeah, I think so too.
Thank you all for listening. So I think it's good, and it's just funny how, you know, we're thinking this is really new, but like Anthony says, old things, new name,
old things.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph, for always being spot on, you know, and you know, it was good. You know. So guys, yes, I will keep you guys who want to know what date is the funeral. We just have to do some last minute stuff, and I'll put something up on my Facebook page and let you guys know. But it's sometime next week. But I'll keep you posted. And yes, we should be live streaming. Andrew, you never get back to me, Andrew. I need to know. Hit me up and let me know. Okay? Anyhow, guys. Thank you for logging in.
Thank you.
Each one teach one. And again, loving the house.
Yes. Always remember to be kind to one another. Always be grateful that you have another day, another life. Make better decisions so you can continue to walk righteously.
And I just want to say in closing, sometimes you have plans, like I had plans. And God have a master plan, because my plan was to go to Miami Carnival. I was going to Egypt, going to Jordan, then going to Guyana, and then this happened in my family. So sometimes I want to say, don't feel dismay when things happen. You just go with the flow.
Go with the flow. And always remember, God, you know, man might propose, but God can easily oppose. So if it's not in his will, it is not in his will. That's it. And he doesn't make mistakes.
No.
So, you know, just take it like it is. Be prayerful. Ask for discernment in, you know, understanding his purpose. And you keep it pushing.
Oh, today was a Jewish holiday too. Today's Yom Kippur. So any of my Jewish friends out there, you know, who's celebrating Yom Kippur, you know, we celebrate everything on this show.
Happy Yom Kippur. Hope that you all spent your day well, relaxing, meditating on God's word. You know, God bless you all.
Have a blessed night.
Bye, guys.